Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while. I've been extremely busy, but I appreciate y'all's patience. Today I'm be showing you a video of how I made this very massive Shin Godzilla sculpture. As per usual, it is casted out of polyurethane rubber with a wire armature inside. It has acrylic resin pieces for the dorsal plates, the claws, teeth, and the eyeball. And it is painted with acrylic paints using an airbrush and some dry brushing. Like I said, this thing is very massive. It should stand around 2 feet tall, but because it is so big and the wire that I used underneath is not as strong as it should be, sometimes it slumps down and it's a little shorter than 2 feet, but it's meant to be at the 2 foot range. I wanted to do something very large, and for the most part I think I pretty much succeeded with it. The mold was extremely difficult because there was so much silicone, and then it was had a plaster mother mold, so that made it extremely heavy. So overall this was a very difficult project, but I think I pulled through and made something that's honestly I think is really cool. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right to the video. So I start off with the wire armature, and I do the basic things that I always do. I make the armature, I block it out using a bunch of paper and tape to hold its shape, and then putting the clay on top so that I don't use as much clay, and I put all the detailing and stuff. What I kind of really want to talk about here is just sort of my own feelings towards Shin Godzilla as a whole. I will admit I'm not a big fan of this iteration of Godzilla, which is weird because I made this giant sculpture. I put so much work and effort, and I just did so much just for a version of the character that I don't really care for. But I remember when I first saw the posters and even the animatronic, which I gotta say, the animatronic is awesome, but I just remember seeing the design and it just not doing it for me. It just didn't feel like Godzilla to me personally. And then watching the movie, I just never got into it. It's just one of those movies where I thought the characters were kind of boring and overall it was kind of slow. The things that really stood out to me were honestly all the Godzilla parts, but even then I never really liked the evolution stuff. I thought it was a little out there. The best part of the movie in my opinion is the atomic breath sequence where, you know, he unleashes his purple laser beam and then he has the atomic lasers, or the photon lasers or whatever, coming out of his back and just destroying Tokyo in a way that, like, we've never seen Godzilla be able to do at that time. And so it was very impressive and very cool, and I can understand why some people do like it, because I do think the way Hideaki Anno, I believe, the director, tackles the politics, he does it in a way where it's like, okay, and I understand why the Japanese people love it so much, because he's tackling an issue that to Japan is very close to home. It's like the equivalent of, any movie that tackles 9/11, but like in a tasteful way, in a way that like the people can understand. So I get the hype and I do understand it. I should say I understand the hype. I just never really got it myself, because every time I watch the movie, I just like the politics stuff. I get it, but it gets to the point where it's so in your face that apparently even down to the text, like there being like 50,000 words to describe one character. It's a kind of funny gag at first, but then it gets kind of annoying after a while when they keep doing it over and over. That's just me though. I don't want to start no hate. But for me, I just know that this version of Godzilla a lot of people love, and I wanted to do my best to bring it to life and do it justice, because it's as much a part of Godzilla history as any of the other designs. And I will say the challenge was I think it was a really cool challenge, because I had to really look for CGI models, and there's not a lot. I could only find so much. So I kind of resorted to, sort of cheating and using some toys, which I know is a really big no-no, because even toys, they take their own liberty. But I looked at statues, I found the animatronic, I tried using that as reference, and I just, kept looking at scenes over and over until I felt like I found this perfect blend of what looks to be screen accurate. I also really wanted to give him the open split jaw mandible look, which you can see as I'm sculpting it. Sadly, it didn't work as I would have liked to. I think maybe the mouth should have been more, I don't know, not as wide open. Maybe that would have helped. I think also if I had some stronger wires, that probably would have helped as well. But even so, while it didn't work, it's still, like, as it is, it looks really cool. But yeah, just like I said, I sculpted, I finished sculpting it, I make the molds, and then I do the casting. You've seen this all in my other videos, so if you want to check it out, get more in depth, you can look there. But one thing I will say is when it came to the casting part, As you'll see either right now or in a little bit, when I casted this, I did mostly brush on cast, and I wanted to do a layer of black, a layer of brown, and then just sort of like a brush of red, and then a roto cast or a slush cast of red, or actually of clear, because I wanted the LEDs to shine in specific places without, like, let's say the red rubber, completely messing up the look, because I was worried that if I did the entire thing red, that some of the LEDs would not shine through. And I think the end process looks really good because of that. So some parts, like when I want it to look purple, it looks purple. When I want it to look red, it looks really good in red. But that's just sort of I guess, the whole process here. And so yeah, I'll just kind of sit back and let you enjoy the rest of the video. the video. I really hope y'all enjoyed. This was a very interesting experience because, like I said, I was basically putting a lot of hard work and time into a version of Godzilla I'm not the biggest fan of, but again, I hope my opinion on that doesn't, like, deter y'all away. I just want to get my 2 cents out there. I do respect, Shin Godzilla as a whole, especially Hideki Anno. I think he makes some very interesting stuff. It just wasn't for me personally, but I still wanted to do justice to design because there's so many passionate Shin Godzilla lovers, and I think that it was a really cool experience trying to work on something that maybe I didn't have the biggest fondness of, because I think it puts me in a situation where I really have to like make something and go all out even if it's not my thing. And so I hope y'all like it. I can see where I can definitely improve in some spaces. I even found a wire armature that's actually really thick and very strong. So if I ever get to make another massive sculpture like this, I have something that's gonna be able to keep it up and make it look even more impressive. But that about does it. Thank y'all for watching again. If you want to check out my Instagram, it's geo_sculpts. That's where I post pictures of all my sculptures there. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.